Cool. So let's move on to winning the money game, right? And we talked about this, the three C's and a K, right? Create it, compound it, keep it, and then think you can consider what our next level is. So number one, in this part of Act One, which is create, it's all about you. And I know everybody on this call is at a different stage, so I believe, so trust me, there will be a slide that addresses where you're at. But if you're just getting rolling, it's all you, right? This is your focus is active income. How do I do the best with what I have, the gifts that God has given me to create wealth, to create income, right? Maximize my personal earnings. Number one, I want to reduce my taxes and be aware of that. If you don't have an LLC, even if you have a W-2 job, I know it's a little tougher in states like California when an LLC costs $800 per year. I get it. Most states, it's $50 to $150 for an LLC. You should have that and have some sort of a business. If you're looking for real estate, if you're doing knitting and selling that on the weekends at the shows, there's all kinds of expenses you could be running through that LLC and reducing your taxes. You want to find your side hustle, guys. For me, it was flipping houses. It was wholesaling houses. It was flipping houses. But for you, it might be something else. Whatever that is. I don't know about you. Maybe they got my number on all the social media feeds, but I get 5 or 6 different side hustles a day going across my feed as they advertise to me the different side hustles. You can go on YouTube, which is, by the way, in case you don't know this, YouTube is one of the largest search engines in the world. Go up there and put in the search bar side hustles, and you are going to get nothing but different videos to choose from. Find one that fits your personality and get off the TV, get off the death scroll on social media, get off the football games on Sundays for a little while, and begin to develop your side hustle. And control your personal expenses is number 4 there. That's all the beginning. That's Act 1, so that you have surplus to invest. Your side hustle is going to help you with that as well, into those PRI activities. Remember, what's the goal? Mailbox money, PRI, horizontal income, whatever you want to call it. That's the goal. That's what sets us free financially, right? So by doing those 4 things, you're going to set yourself up to begin the process of receiving that type of income. Number 2 is we're going to take that and we're going to compound it by buying and building assets, right? So your focus at this stage is to begin the doubling clock. Okay, the compounding is the doubling clock, right? For those of us that have less runway, our clock is further down the road. For those of you that are younger and have a lot more runway, you got a lot of clock left. So that is you plus your assets plus you starting the wealth clock. That is how many doublings can you possibly enjoy in your lifetime? Well, first of all, we know the Lord has control of that. We don't. But assuming that you live to a rightful old age, you want to double as many times as you can. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing what we talked about on slide 1 and developing that side hustle, developing that income, lowering our taxes and lowering our expenses. And I'll be perfectly clear about this, guys. I've seen it before. There's a book, I think it's called The Latte Factor, or it's a term in a book. And where he talks about cut the lattes out of your life. Well, I'm not a big proponent on spending $10 on a cup of coffee, but at the end of the day, I don't want to cut the lattes out of my life. But when I want to stop and get a coffee, I want to stop and get a coffee. So I've never cut myself that thin. But if you need to, because you're just coming up, don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid to. Act number 3 is keep it. This is a mental shift, right? Our focus here is passive residual income, also horizontal income, also mailbox money. This is where we're changing our mindset a little bit. We're less of a control freak. We don't have to have our hands in every little last detail. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to get comfortable with the person that's running that investment, and we're going to invest in other people's projects while we do what we do best over here and work in our business, work in our W-2, work in our 1099, and continue to build and work in our side hustle and continue to build that surplus so that we have money to invest in other things, right? So it's active and passive, turning both of those into passive residual income and planning our exit, which might be a 10-year plan or 10-year planning ceremony, if you will, right? So we want to begin that early. What does that look like? What is our ideal scene? If you haven't gone through the ideal scene process where you figure out what it looks like for you to retire, then I would encourage you to do that. It doesn't matter if that's 40 years away or 4 years away, but the sooner the better, so that you have an active idea and have some baskets at the end of the basketball court of life that you're playing, so hey, what does that look like? How much money do I need for that to happen? And what does that look like? I can tell you, you'll only wiggle your toes in the sand so long, guys. Most of us that are entrepreneurs and they're on this call, we're never going to retire. We're just going to change gears and it'll be a new season. So what does the next chapter look like? That's really what this phase is, where we keep the cash, keep the wealth, and manage it intelligently, right? And then the next phase or next act 4, is contemplate. What is next, right? What is next? That's our focus. Lock in the win, start playing a safer game, design our next chapter, stay engaged, and stay relevant, right? It's a very important role in our wealth walk, where we are monitoring our wealth, even if it's ugly at the moment. We want to know what's going on. We don't want to have our head buried in the sand. We want to be the quarterback. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we want to be enjoying the compound curve, is what it's called. A lot of people call it a hockey stick, right? As we come up, we come up a little bit, we come up a little bit, we come up a little bit, and as the compounding takes place, or a good market comes our way, all of a sudden the hockey stick happens, right? For those of you that don't know, the wealth of billionaire investor. Oh my gosh, I just slipped his name. I just forgot his name there. So forgive me. Well, I'll get back to that in just a moment. But yeah, his wealth, I think, is $84 billion. And I want to say roughly, the last report that I heard, about 70 billion of that happened after the age of 68. And he started very young. He started as a teenager to investing. So the compounding factor has a big play in all this. Warren Buffett, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of Warren Buffett's name, but has most of the 85 to 90% of his wealth happened in his later years. Had he not started as early as he did, had he not stuck around as long as he did, the report shows him being worth a couple $1 billion as compared to this 80 something that he is. So